Welcome to Reclaimed Terrain. This is episode 18, where I'm going to be sharing with you my current weekly schedule as a six-figure entrepreneur. And if I'm being totally honest, this is probably one of my most frequently asked questions, just what my weekly schedule actually looks like as an entrepreneur. So I am breaking that down for you today. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and grab a notebook and pen or open the Notes app on your phone because I really am breaking down for you exactly what my schedule looks like. So all of that being said, let's dive on in. Hey Queen, welcome to Reclaimed Terrain. I'm your host, Hannah Brindley, daughter of the King, certified life coach, and faith-fueled business mentor. I know you are so sick of feeling like you worked so hard in your business with little to no reward while staying in this same cycle of self-sabotaging tendencies you know are keeping you stuck. And because of that, I know you are craving to end this never-ending cycle of self-destruction and cultivate a successful, Holy Spirit-led business without letting it become your idol. So if you are ready to be fueled by faith over flesh, fight your battles spiritually instead of physically, take bold action on your God-given callings, and finally create that thriving faith-fueled business, then you're in the right place. Go ahead and reheat your coffee, grab a notebook and pen, and let's dive in. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty details of my weekly schedule, there's something that I really think is important for you to understand. I have been an entrepreneur now for going on 5 years. It will be 5 years in July, which is wild, I know, but I say that to say I have changed my schedule multiple times to figure out what works for me. This is going to take trial and error, right? So please don't be afraid to try things and change things and shift things a little bit to what works best for you in your life. So that being said, this is my current schedule and it's what works best for me in this current season of my life and business. Does that mean it could shift in a couple of months? Absolutely, right? And that's something I think is important to understand too, is that in different seasons of life and business, your schedule might also need to shift. Don't be afraid to make those pivots and to make those changes because again, your schedule is very personal to you and your business. So what you hear today, take notes and then take what works for you and throw out what doesn't. Also, I really just want to shout out Jess Massey. She inspired me to create a podcast episode like this because she had a podcast episode like this. So I was like, man, people are asking me this question all the time. And then Jess just totally shared her whole weekly schedule on her podcast episode. I can do the same thing. So thank you, Jess, for sharing your schedule. I know everyone had to love it. And if you're not following Jess now, I highly recommend checking her out. She is Jess Massey on Instagram. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into the details of my weekly schedule. So very first thing for you to know is that I rotate my weeks. Now, what I mean by this is that 1 week I am focused on serving my clients, while the next week I am focused on creating and getting deeper into my own business. So essentially every other week I know my focus is clients, and every other week I know my focus is creativity and working on my own business. If you want to hear a little bit more about this particular tip, I highly recommend going to check out the episode right before this one. It's episode 17. It's all about 5 productivity tips that I know will give you higher quality work. So if you haven't listened to that one already, highly recommend going to check that one out after you finish listening to this one. And so what I'm going to be doing today is going through day by day, and I'm going to be telling you if this is a creative week or a client week or if it's for both of them. So let's go ahead and start with Monday. And Mondays are typically the same for both my client weeks and my creative weeks. This is because I have a tendency to just want to dive into my own business on Mondays. I like to meet with my clients later on during the week, and I really, really love to have my Mondays free for my own business. I actually used to take client calls on Mondays, but that just did not work for me. I felt really discombobulated the rest of the week when I started off my Mondays with getting on client calls. I feel like it just kind of threw my entire week for a loop. So I knew that had to shift. So that being said, let's go ahead and walk through Monday. Now, something I want to go ahead and preface is that my morning routine right now for every day of the week is rather long. And I know that a lot of people may not be able to do this, but something I always really wanted to make happen before I became an entrepreneur was to have lengthy morning routines. And this was really important to me. And right now in this season, I am in need of a lengthy morning routine. Again, I know this may not be able to be possible for some people. So again, take what works for you, leave out what doesn't. For a while, this wasn't possible for me. So just know, like, it is okay if this is not possible, okay? But also, just so you know, in this season, I really am in need of this lengthier routine because, truth be told, I don't have that much energy right now. It takes me a lot longer to get focused. It takes me a lot longer to wake up. I truly do need it to kickstart my day. So right now, my morning routine is set from 7 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. So I have about a 3.5 hour window to really get ready and go through my morning routine and just get ready for the day. Now, sometimes this looks like me getting up at 6:30. Sometimes it looks like me sleeping until 8. I just listen to my body right now because, again, like, I really get to a point where I can't function really well if I don't have rest. So I just listen to what my body needs. Now, after I wake up, I usually go for a light walk outside with Weston, my dog, just to get some fresh air. In addition to this, I always make sure I drink a ton of water when I first wake up. I drink at least 16 ounces with some electrolytes. If it's not 16 ounces, I start feeling really sluggish. So I drink water as soon as I wake up. I go outside, go for a walk with Weston, come back in, and I start making breakfast. And then after breakfast is when I get into my Bible study and when I'm spending time with Holy Spirit and prayer time. Right now, I'm spending about an hour 15 minutes in the Word in the morning. Again, this has not always been the case, but this is really what I need right now in this season of my life. Now, sometimes this has to be cut short in case I have to run a quick errand in the morning or do a couple of extra things before I get my day going. So just keep that in mind. But it usually ranges from, 45 minutes to about an hour and 15 minutes. Then after that, I will start getting ready for the day. And after I get ready for the day, it is 10:30 already. So typically in the morning, I am kind of moseying around. I am taking it easy. I am very prone to anxiety, so I have to be very calm in the morning. I don't want to rush into anything, and so that's why I really give myself that 3.5 hour window. And then from 10:30 a.m. to about 11:30 a.m. is when I usually do my Workday startup routine. If you are familiar with the Full Focus Planner, the creator of that planner actually has pieces of their day called the Workday Startup and the Workday Shutdown. And so I adopted that and I absolutely love it. So my Workday Startup routine usually looks like looking at my tasks for the day, looking at my calendar. Then from there, I actually like to pop on stories. I like to respond to DMs. I like to respond to any emails that are very important or urgent that I need to respond back to. I like to do any admin work I need to get to really quickly. And also I respond to my clients during this time. So that usually takes about an hour, sometimes a little bit more, especially if I want to post on Instagram, because I like to use this time to post as well. And the reason I like to use this time to speak to my clients, to knock out any urgent emails or DMs, and also post on stories or my grid is because when I move into my actual work blocks, I want to stay focused. I don't want to be thinking about getting on stories unless I just really want to, or responding to clients or making a post. I don't want to be thinking about those things during my focus blocks. So after that work block, I usually take a quick break and get a snack if I need to. I step outside for a moment. I take Weston out for a second and just take the time to breathe. After that, I come back in and I start my first work block. Now, during this work block on Mondays, I'm usually focused on creating content. Now, the reason I've chosen Mondays for content is because that is just something I've naturally wanted to do on Mondays. On Mondays, I have a lot of energy and I feel a lot more creative coming out of the weekend. So that's why I like to use my Mondays for creating content every single week. So at this point, I usually spend about an hour or so creating content. Now, the reason I spend about an hour and not 2 hours is because I like to really pay attention to my body and ask myself, okay, is it time for lunch, right? Because again, I probably ate at like 8 a.m. At this point, it's like 12:30. Even though I had a snack, I know it's time for me to really refuel my body. I took the snack because it was going to get me through that work block. So I break for lunch. I usually do about 30 to 45 minute lunches. Sometimes I do an hour in case I need to run an errand, or maybe I just want to run to Starbucks or something. So once I finish lunch or my errands or running to Starbucks, whatever I'm doing, I usually come back around 1:30 or 2. And this is when I have my second work block. And this work block, again, is content creation. Now, instead of having a 1 hour work block, I usually work from 2 to 4 or 2 to 5 in this season. There have been seasons of my life where I have stopped working at 2 and 3, and those are great seasons too. But with that, I had to wake up a little bit earlier and I had to shorten my morning routine. But right now, I feel the importance of having a lengthier morning routine just for where I'm at in my life, in my health, and my business. And I would rather work a little bit longer in the afternoon. So that's why it's set up in this way. And also I want to point out, during all of these work blocks, I am utilizing the Pomodoro Method. If you are not familiar with the Pomodoro Method, please go back and listen to episode 17. I explain all the things about it, why I love it inside of that episode. So after my second content creation work block, which usually ends somewhere around 4 or 5, is when I go back in and I respond to all of my clients. And then I also respond to any urgent DMs or emails. And that is essentially my Workday shutdown. I will also like to take a look at what I need to do tomorrow to adjust my schedule or my tasks that I need to focus on. That is why I like to do at the end of the day. And then I am done working for the day. And then after my Workday shutdown is when I do my life stuff. So this is when I would go to the gym, I would do some chores, I would make dinner, I'll do an additional Bible study, I will meet up with friends. It changes every week, but I typically just leave my schedule open during those times so I can actually be enjoying life. And then around 8 to 9 p.m. is when I usually have my evening routine. So this is when I'll take a bath. This is when I'll watch an episode of a TV show I'm watching or a movie, or I'll read a fiction book, right? Like this is when I am winding down and getting ready for bed. And I usually like to be in bed by 10:30, sometimes 11. And again, I like to read a chapter in a fiction book before I fall asleep. That is just something I like to do. It actually helps me fall asleep, and it also just brings me joy. So let's move into Tuesdays. Now, this is usually the same for both weeks as well. Every once in a while, I will have a call during my client weeks on Tuesdays, but I typically like to keep my client calls during my client weeks on Wednesday, Thursday, and sometimes Friday if I have to. Tuesday is like the backup for me because I typically like to keep my Monday and Tuesdays open. Now, instead of content creation, I like to focus on creative projects on Tuesdays. So on Tuesday, my morning routine is the same as Monday. It's from 7 to 10:30. Then my workday startup is from 10:30 to 11:30. And then I have a light snack after that. And I go for a little walk with Weston, and I come back and I have another hour-long work block. And that is usually a creative project focus. Now, this looks like creating emails in my business, or creating new curriculum for my clients, or creating a new freebie or a funnel. So just something other than marketing content, but it's still focused on my business and it still needs my creative mind. Now, depending on the season in my business, this could look like also me creating content. So maybe I don't have a creative project I have a deadline for during that week, but I got a little bit behind on content creation. So maybe Mondays and Tuesdays will be heavy on content creation. But if I have a creative project, that is usually when I do it. The reason I'm sharing this is because just because you have something planned doesn't always go according to plan. So I like to have backups. I like to have a little bit of a contingency plan, if you see what I mean, just because life happens. It is what it is. So I typically try to keep it creative project focused, but depending on the season, it might be content creation. And, also as like a quote unquote last resort, I could use these work block times for calls if I need to. So then around 12:30, 12:45, 1-ish is when I usually break for lunch. And again, this is usually 30, 45 minutes. Sometimes it's an hour. I don't typically go more than an hour, but I do like to give myself the leeway of going over 30 minutes if I need to. So then around 2-ish is when I start my second focus block. So again, this is usually creative project focus, and I do this usually from 2 to 4 or 2 to 5. After that, I will do my Workday shutdown routine where I'll respond to clients, urgent DMs, comments, emails, all of that, get ready for the next day. And then I go and enjoy my life by going to the gym or an extracurricular or get a massage or do my nails, a Bible study, meeting friends, making dinner, all of those things. And then my evening routine usually starts around 8 or 9, and then I'm going to bed around 10:30, 11 at the latest. So now let's talk about Wednesdays. So we are actually going to start if it's a client week, because remember, I like to take my client calls on Wednesdays. And also during my client weeks, this is usually when I like to schedule podcast episodes. Any calls that I have throughout the week, essentially Wednesdays and Thursdays, I like to pack with calls. That is what I like to do. So first things first, morning routine is from 7 to 10:30 in the morning. My workday startup is from 10:30 to 11:30. Then I do my little snack. I go for a little walk. I take some space for about 15 minutes. Then I come back and I get on calls. So typically my calls are from noon to about 5, and my lunch break is thrown in there somewhere, and I typically give myself about 30 minutes between each call, just in case I go a little bit over, or just in case I need to go for a walk or get a snack, all of that. So usually my lunch is that 30-minute mark. It doesn't go more than 30 minutes just because I am taking calls from noon to 5. And then after 5 is when I will do my workday shutdown routine. So again, that's when I am responding to clients, checking my schedule for the next day, making edits, all of that. And then I'll go enjoy life. And then I will have my evening routine around 8 or 9, go to bed by 10 or 11. Now let's talk about my Wednesdays during my creative week. So this depends on the season I am in my business. I will either use this day to focus on a creative project, or I will use this day to focus on content. Again, just depending if I am, maybe batching a bunch of podcast episodes in advance, or maybe I am batching a bunch of Instagram content in advance, and I really need to use the whole week to create all of my content. Or maybe I am updating the curriculum for my clients, so I really need to be using all of my days to focus on creating the curriculum. It really just depends on the season. So my morning routine goes from 7 to 10:30. Workday startup, 10:30 to 11:30. Then I have that little break where I take Weston out, I get a snack. Then I have my creative project focus or my content creation focus block for an hour. And then I break for lunch, come back, usually start my focus block around 2 and I work until 5. Then I have my Workday shutdown routine again. And then I will go enjoy life by going to the gym or doing chores, running errands, meeting friends, dinner, Bible study. And then I will have my evening routine around 8 or 9 and in bed by 10 or 11. And now, if I'm being totally honest, Thursdays are the exact same. So during my client week, it is the same as my Wednesdays during the client week. So morning routine, 7 to 10:30, Workday startup, 10:30 to 11:30. Then I have calls from 12 to 5 with a 30-minute lunch break somewhere thrown in there. And then after I do my Workday shutdown, and then I go enjoy life around 5:30, and then I'll do my evening routine around 8 or 9, go to bed by 10 or 11. And then like my Wednesdays, if it's a creative week, on Thursdays, I will start my morning routine at 7 and I'll go till 10:30. Then I'll do my Workday startup routine from 10:30 to 11:30. Then I'll take a quick break with a snack, go outside for a second, come back and start my first focus block. And that is either a content focus or a creative project focus. Now, something I didn't mention before, on Wednesdays and Thursdays during my creative week, if I have to take a call, I will usually schedule it for Thursday. And then if I have to, I will schedule it for Wednesday. So that is, again, kind of like a worst case scenario or a backup plan. If I have to take a call during that week, I really tried not to because I really love having those weeks open for my own business. It has made so much of a difference for my mental wellness and my mental well-being. But again, if I have to take a call, it'll usually be on a Thursday and then backup would be Wednesday. And it would usually, I will try to let it be actually at the tail end of the day. But if I have to do it during that first block, I will. So again, I will have that 1 hour focus block where I'm focusing on, a creative project or content and a call if I had to. And then I will break for lunch for about 30 minutes to an hour. Then I'll have my second focus block from 2 to 5. Again, that just depends on what I need during that day. Then I will do my Workday shutdown routine. Then I will go enjoy life. Right? So gym, chores, dinner, Bible study, the works. And then I'll do my evening routine around 8 or 9 and I'll get in bed by 10 or 11. So then that takes us to Fridays. Now, if this Friday is a client week, usually this will be a Queen Immersion Day. Now, this is my 5 to 7 hour intensive coaching session for my one-on-one clients. And these usually start around 10 a.m. and they go till about 5 p.m. So if I have a Queen Immersion Day on a Friday, that is pretty much all I'm doing that day. Now, I also want to mention I could schedule the Queen Immersion Day for Wednesdays or Thursdays as well, but I do like to do them on Fridays. Now, if it is not a Queen Immersion Day, I will do my typical morning routine. So it'll be from 7 to 10:30. If it's my Queen Immersion Day, my morning routine is cut short. It'll typically be from 7 to 8:30, and then I will start prepping for the call. So then after my morning routine is when I'll do my Workday startup from 10:30 to 11:30. Then I will take a quick break, go outside, get a snack, and then I will come back and I will start on my first focus block. And on Fridays, I usually like to focus on admin tasks or even finishing tasks that I've started and I've procrastinated and put off. So this is essentially like tying up some loose ends. That's why I like to use Fridays for, because typically on Fridays my energy is a little bit lower. So I like to do things that doesn't require a lot of creative energy. And sometimes on Fridays, I will take a half day. And sometimes if I have more energy, I will work till 4 or 5. But usually I stop somewhere between 2 and 4 on Fridays. So this also looks like having a shorter lunch. So I'll typically have, a 20-minute lunch instead of, 30 minutes to an hour, just because I do want to end my day just a little bit sooner than the rest of the week. So again, I will have my workday start up 10:30 to 11:30. I will take a little quick break, come back and do my first focus block. And sometimes my first focus block goes a little bit over that hour because again, I'm wanting to get a little bit more done. Then I'll have a quick lunch and then I'll make the call if I want to continue working, and if I do, how much longer, if it's maybe 1 hour work block instead of a 3-hour work block, or maybe it is the full 3-hour work block. But usually I will make that call after lunch, and that decision is usually made based on my energy, but also based on what is needed in my business during this season. So then after I stop working for the day or make the decision that I'm done with the work blocks, that is when I will go and respond to clients or DMs and, prep for the next week. And then I am enjoying my weekend. So I'm hanging out with friends. I'm going dancing. Maybe I'm going deeper into a Bible study. Again, this changes every single week, but I typically like to have my afternoon, evening off on Fridays. And yes, I have my evening routine and I try to get in bed around the normal time, but if I don't, that's okay too. And so that brings us to the weekend. Now, my weekend really does shift just depending on what's going on in my life and business. So I always like to have one Sabbath day where I do no work and I truly honor the Lord. Now, sometimes that is Sunday and sometimes that is Saturday. Here's what I mean. Just depending on what is coming up in my life. Maybe I'm hanging out with my family or I'm hanging out with friends or I'm going to a particular church or I'm on vacation. So my Sabbath really can change, but most recently it has been Saturday. So Saturday is when I am like, I am done working. I'm not doing any work. I'm honoring the Lord. I am going and spending time with my friends. I am going for a hike. I'm going for walks. I am just truly digging into his word. I am surrendering. I am praising him. I'm diving even deeper into the word than I had during the week. There are some Saturdays that I've spent 3-4 hours in scripture or 3-4 hours just listening to worship music and journaling. Sometimes I really love to do that if I just don't have plans with my community, and that has been really beneficial for me. So that being said, if Saturdays are my Sabbath, that means Sundays I am going to church, I'm spending time with family and friends, I am meal prepping or prepping for the week, and sometimes I will work an hour or two, just depending on what I'm needing in my business during that season. Now, depending on the week, the days will flip-flop, right? So when I go home with my parents, my dad is usually off on Sundays and he works on Saturdays. So that being said, sometimes when I visit my parents, I really like to make my Sabbath day Sunday so I can spend additional time with them. So if I need to do a little bit of extra work on Saturday, I will. But sometimes I like both to be Sabbath days. Right? I like both to not really focus on work, but essentially I just want to make sure one of those days I am truly honoring the Lord, even if I don't work, because you can still rest and not work and not truly honor the Lord. And I just really want to make sure I am taking a day to do that every single week, no matter what day it actually falls on. And that's it, friends. That is my week as a six-figure entrepreneur. So please take what works for you and leave what doesn't. But regardless of if it is going to work for you or not, I really hope that this inspires you to go and work on your own weekly schedule. And so now that you know a little bit about how to create your own schedule and be a little bit more productive, it is time to take intentional, aligned action towards building your business. And this is exactly why I created Faith Fueled Coach Academy, to help women like you finally go full-time online in their coaching business with the Holy Spirit leading us both. If you are ready to start and or scale your faith-fueled coaching business, head on over to www.hannahbrindley.com/FCA to learn more about the program and get on the wait list for when we launch again. This will also be linked in the show notes for you. Also, if you are curious on how I coach, I highly recommend checking out my free Attract Your Queendom training. This training takes an immersive approach to attracting your ideal clients to you so that you can then go and create content that is going to attract them to you efficiently and effectively. I've had multiple people tell me this training alone has changed the game for them. So if you go through it, please send me a DM over on Instagram at Hannah Brindley and let me know your thoughts. I will see you in the next episode. And until then, I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week because you're planning it out like a pro. See you next time. Bye. Hey, Queen, don't head out just yet. If this podcast has blessed you in some way, it would mean the absolute world to me if you left a written review of the show over on Apple Podcasts. It truly lights a fire in me knowing how God has impacted you through this platform. And since I absolutely adore connecting with you, please, please, please screenshot this episode or your review and post it on your stories on Instagram and tag me at Hannah Brindley. I can't wait to see you over there. So much love to you.